Hey everyone, Brandon here, and it's time for more SexxPerTease. And our question is: at what point do you ask someone you're going to be hooking up with their STI status? Well, before you do hook up with someone, you definitely need to ask them if they've ever had or currently have any STIs. So I guess if it's something that can be easily cleared up in the past, you don't, I guess, need to ask about that, but I like to ask them if they've ever even had anything ever, just to make sure, because, I mean, I like to know, and it's good to be safe, especially because you don't know if somebody's lying, and then if they do admit to having something, I guess it does build some type of honesty and trust system with them, because they are at least willing to tell you that they have had an STI in the past, but it's all cleared up now, and then you definitely need to ask them just to be safe, and even when you do have sex with them, you need to make sure you use protection, even if they are negative, at least they claim to be. You still have to treat them like they are positive, just to keep yourself safe and make sure you don't get anything yourself. I've had many gay friends that have had STIs, and even girlfriends that had HPV because they didn't get vaccinated, and now they're having issues with it. So it's definitely important to keep yourself safe. Safe sex is extremely important. But you definitely need to ask someone their status before you hook up with them. Like, people write their last tested date on their profile, and I think that's kind of trashy sometimes. But if you are having a, like, hookup, if you're just going to hook up with someone, you do need to know, I guess, when they last tested. But you still need to ask them up front. I think it's good to ask them before you meet up, when you're still talking online or wherever you meet them. And especially, like, when you're in person, because people can just easily lie and answer no, or like say they're clean online, but then they could just be lying and you can't really tell because there's no like body language. And I think it's important to ask in person so you can maybe get the signs and like tell if they're possibly lying. I mean, some people are great liars, but it's good to just ask multiple times and make sure you get the same answer and make sure they are clean. And if they aren't, if you're willing to risk that, even though I would never get with someone who told me they currently had an STI, but then again, some people don't even get tested or know their status, so you have to always keep yourself safe. And some guys that are like HIV positive do write that on their profile, and I think that does help because maybe they're looking for someone else that's positive, or they just want to warn you in advance, because it would be unfortunate, but I don't know, I don't want to be discriminating, but there is a huge bias against people that are HIV positive, and people will choose to avoid them if they know that they're have HIV. So I think it's good that they advertise that right away, because you don't want to get to like that point where you're like on a date or like you're about to hook up and it's like, oh, I have HIV, and it's just like, what the hell, you didn't tell me about this in advance, like I'm not going to hook up with you, even though there are drugs and things to help prevent HIV and can use a condom. But I still think, like, even I've been guilty of this, like if a guy I was talking to and then I ask him his status and he says he has HIV, like I would avoid him, but it's also like he threw it in later. Like, it's good to tell it in advance, as on your profile. I mean, I do think it's trashy when people say when they were last tested on their profile, because if you're looking for like a date, it's like, do I need to know what date you were tested? I just need to know what the results were. But you should always know your status, keep it up to date, get tested at least every 6 months, twice a year, 3 times a year, etc. Ask someone that you definitely know you're going to hook up with. So if you're just going to hook up with someone, ask them right away. Ask them again in person. If you do meet online, ask them at the club if you're about to bring them home when we last tested. Like, in the gay world, it's not like taboo to know someone's status, and it is expected that you will ask, and you should know your answer. And even if you haven't been tested in a while, you should tell your partner that just so they can make sure, because I do think it's great that you can actually like sue someone and it's punishable by the law that if you do give someone an STI if you know you're positive, because I do think that helps encourage a more safer environment, and people that are positive or know they have an STI will be more responsible and will actually take responsibility to warn whoever they're going to sleep with that they have an STI. If not, you could go to jail for it, and it's going to be known as the person that went to jail for giving people an STD. So yeah, always know your partner's status, whoever it is, one night stand, boyfriend, etc. Constantly get tested. Even if you are in a relationship, you never know if that other person's cheating or if something that when they were tested before was still dormant and that it could pop up later. So it's always good to keep it up to date. Ask your partner's status before you have sex. Even on a date, before you know that if this is someone you're going to have sex with, ask them their status. Like, sometimes I even think it's trashy to ask someone if there's, like, a top or bottom before you hook up. Like, especially if you're going on a date, because it's like, I don't even know if I'm going to want to hook up with you in general, but These are important questions and important issues, and it's good to know them down the road to be prepared in advance, because there are drugs like PrEP and Truvada if you do find someone has HIV. Like on Queer as Folk with Mike and whatever the guy, hot doctor he was dating. Was he a doctor? I don't remember, but I've been watching Queer as Folk again. But yeah, Mike had a relationship with the guy that was HIV positive, and like that was like 14 years ago. If you think about it, in like today's world, we have so many more drugs and advanced technology that you can have a full, healthy, happy relationship with someone that's HIV positive, even if you're negative. Just you have to make sure you know in advance, and you can get the drugs that can help prevent HIV beforehand. So that's when you should ask your partner their STI status before you know that you're gonna hook up with them. If it's someone you just want to hook up with, ask them multiple times, get tested, and be safe. Hope that answer your question, and join me again for more SexxxPerTease later.